Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons like Go Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Mr. Flores, Sodasan 0424, and VideoGamer75. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody.
Thank you.
That's right, everybody. This is Let's Talk FGO. You professional sleepy boys are back in town. We're recording a day early because of some stuff, which we may or may not mention later. I am the leader of the Phantom Thieves, Omega. And with you, as always, does Lucky dream of bunny girl servants?
Right now I'm I probably do, but right now I'm dead because this is the first time I just saw writer Camilla's final Ascension art. Hot damn.
Oh no, the Ascensions are all really good. The art's great.
Shit.
Hey, hi, guess what, guys? We're going to talk about Summer a lot today, more.
Yeah. I said, reason why I mentioned that is Lucky is currently, because he is a horrible, horrible man, he forgot to do the thumbnail, so he's going to do it while we do Let's Talk FGO.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to talk shit, because like I said, we're recording a day early because I got some stuff going on the weekend. I have no idea if we'll record What's Up this week, because that's like 3 hours I need to block out, and I don't know. I'm gonna have family over the weekend. I don't know if there'll be a really good time for that. So,
Life, yo.
figure it out.
It does what it do.
But yeah, so we're here. Lucky's working on a thumbnail. Lucky wrote his intro just now.
Yeah, I did. I had to think about it. But everyone, I hope you are enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka All In. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EM version of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers should never tell me the odds.
We're leaning heavily on the JP part of that today, because almost everything is about Summer 4. But we do still have a note about Summer 2. I guess this would be final thoughts, yeah, because it's going to end the 20th, so it'll be over by next week. So we might have a little bit of like post-mortem thoughts, but for now, thoughts are over. All right, well, let's keep on trucking and check in with everybody's favorite Summer Kohai.
Senpai, 起きてください.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, our regular segment for pro tips. Also, note to self, next year, make sure to find a BB channel sound insert just so we can fuck everybody up. But yeah, this is a pretty simple one. There's a lot of challenge quests in Summer 2 in NA, so I figured I'd remind everybody, hey, if you're doing those challenge quests, remember to double-check applicable traits and stuff. You know, think about classes, look at their skills and things. For instance, Golgana is divine, so that might help you finish up that quest if you're having trouble. So, hey, guess what? Servants who are really good at beating Ishtar are also very helpful at beating Golgana, like Skahak or Enkidu. Also, personally, because they're challenge quests, don't stick to event servants. Like, you can try and be a madman and go like, ooh, thematic run, but the challenge quests are supposed to be hard. They don't really do, like, event drops. So,
yeah.
I'll
tell you straight up, like, my strategy for taking on most of the challenge quests was whatever servant can do the most damage to the enemy, and then Waver and Tamamo. It's like, let's just MP spam.
Yeah, so let's move into Records from the Throne, a regular achievement topic. So, for me, all challenge quests down, handle them all, and Summer Ishtar's Smile protected. And I managed to do all of them except Golgana without seals or anything. And Golgana was only because that guy has so much HP, oh my god. Why do you have so much health? Like, it's just like, I don't think it's physically possible. How do you do that much damage?
It's a giant fucking bull.
I know.
Literally, you only fight a tooth.
Yeah, I know. I love the fight in story, but just the challenge quest is just like, oh my god, so much. There's so much HP. It's even with a Gramps, it was just like, my god, there's so much of you, so much HP. And somebody will probably be like, why didn't you just use Skahak? She's got the highest NP damage like ever. Well, assholes, I don't own a Skahak, and I'm not gonna find a Skahak on the support list right now. Are you crazy?
I mean, if you asked, I would have put mine on.
No, it's fine. There were several people, and possibly even community members, who had Enkidu on their support list, who is also not damage-wise as good, but because of the stun and stuff, is also still pretty handy for Ishtar and Golgana. So that was like a lot of people were like, man, Ishtar was so hard. I was like, really? I just, threw Enkidu and Merlin at her and just, obliterated her and moved on to Golgana. Though, as always, God bless Herc. Can't wait for that guy to get his Bonsi. He is.
Oh, yeah, I haven't done the final challenge quest, but I did get the rest of them. So my useless goddess is NP5. And because I am a madman, I decided to keep throwing quartz at the Summer 2 second banner. Because I had a galaxy brain moment. It's I thought, because basically all my roles have been plagued with Lancer Rifle. I was up to, I think, yes, it was the last episode, I rolled my 13th one live.
No, 12.
12th?
Yeah, your 12 mamas, and your note here says something about a 13th, so.
Oh, okay. I can't numbers. What are numbers? They're concepts created by mankind. So, yes. So, I decided to wait until, the last day of the solo Helena raid up, to roll, because I was like, Galaxy Brain, if, Lancer Raiko ain't on raid up, she can't fucking spook me, right? It's like, yes, perfect. There was no way my plan could go wrong. So I start throwing quartz at the banner. I bought another 80-pack. I had worked some odd jobs and, was able to afford it. And, most of my rolls just complete other garbage. And so my final roll, my final 10 spin, I got rainbow sparkles. I was like, and it was a gold archer. I was like, oh god, not another Orion. It was not another Orion. No, it was Arjuna. Arjuna, motherfucking stepbrother of Raiko. And I'm just all like, this family will not leave me alone. This family will not fucking leave me alone. Why? What did I do to deserve this? Did Raiko literally come up on Arjuna and was like, hey, yo, this guy's over here. I need you to keep an eye on him. Make sure he doesn't get his fucking Lancer made because he must have his morals protected. I'm like, no! No, I do not need that in my life. I need my popsicle eating Gothic Lolita pretty maid, sir. I am offended. I am so offended. I really want to spend more on this banner.
really, this is just karma, because you bragged about how easy it was in Summer Part 1.
Well, no, here's the crazy thing. I have gotten excellent fucking rolls, okay? As I said, I got MP, throughout all the spending, I got, MP fucking 12 Lancer Raiko, I have MP 2, Archer Helena, I got 2 Johns, fucking another Ozymandias, and another Arjuna. My luck is fucking fantastic.
You're rolling well, but as I was saying, you talked about how easy it was to hit all the Summer Servants with Part 1, in case you forgot.
Yeah. And so now there's just this one is eluding me, and I'm kind of losing my shit right now. Mostly because, here's the reason why I want to get all the Summer Servants at basically once. I did this with Summer 1, and it's what I'm trying to do with Summer 2. Because we have a new summer event every year, I want to be able to stockpile all my quartz and just blow it on one summer event instead of having to worry about 2. Summer 3 is probably not gonna be soul crushing for rolls, but let me tell you right now, Summer 4 it's hurting.
Oh no, Summer 4 is bad. We're gonna talk all about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So
yeah,
actually,
for some people it's a big deal. For me, Summer 3 is kind of a lull because it's I like Maeve and I like Sabers. I don't know if I really don't give enough of a fuck about BB.
I'm the opposite way. I really want BB, but
and
I kind of want Jean and I want Maeve. So I'm like, but that's only 3 out of 6.
Summer Jean is cool, but it wouldn't. I already have the original, so Summer Her wouldn't necessarily, crush my soul either, because she is her design's kind of weird. I like one of the middle ascensions with, the glasses and swimsuit, but her aesthetics are kind of weird. So I'm mostly about
her pulling dolphins out of her bags and throwing them at people.
I'm just kind of if I could just get, once again, the deep curse, I'm gonna end up with NP3 Summer BB. I'm like, if I could just let me squeak in some Rushi. Just let me squeak her in there. Slip her in. Don't need anything else. That's all I need. But yeah, so there, I want only 1 or 2 of the Summer 3s really bad. The one I want the most is the Welfare, because Summer Sean is great. But 4, we're gonna talk about 4. I mean, we've already talked about how 4.1 has already endangered my wallet, but we'll get there deeper.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's see. What's my sound level now? Okay. I think I've been kind of clear enough to the audience. That might be a little loud. But I'm fighting with my pop filter because I realized listening back to last week's episode that I'm like, man, I really need to actually use the pop filter. But I have like a whole mic arm setup. And despite the fact that there are pictures of people using this type of pop filter with a mic arm all over the place, I can't actually find instructions for how the fuck they get it to stay on there. Because I'm using like a 2-arm flexible structure with like springs and stuff, it's very robust. It's steel, and it's fairly flexible, but also doesn't bend. I bought a cheap aluminum one; it like bent immediately. So, I'm fighting it, but I think the sound level's doing okay, sound design wise. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Well, that was record. So I guess we should move into the news. So, everybody was thinking it would be, they were playing it pretty close to the vest, but they finally came out with it. Summer 4, which is, I think the simple name is just like Las Vegas Official Bout or something, is running from 8/14 to 9/4. I gotta reposition myself, because my freaking divots where my wheelchair is. My cherry wheels getting there. Deep gaps in my carpet. I probably need to, I've got one of those like plastic protector sheets over my carpet. I probably need to like take it off and like vacuum up the divots in my carpet sometime. But anyway, so this is a time lock story event. There's no part 2. This is actually a bit of a big deal because there was a quote-unquote leak before it actually went official that was just full of lies. Absolutely full of lies. Because it was like, here's what'll be on the part 2 banner, and here's all these details about the events and extra costumes, and it was just like, almost immediately after they gave you the pre-details, before the thing even started, it was like, no, it's wrong. Because it was like, part 2, and raids and super raids. It's like, no, that doesn't match what we got. So this is a time lock story event. There are going to be various casinos. It also has missions. It's mission-based. An interesting new mechanic is that you're actually gambling with QP. When you undertake a quest, you will bet QP, which if you lose the quest, you will lose the QP along with the AP cost. So, keep it on lock. And there are fever quests which happen every day, which give you loads of items in QP. So a lot of people are like, holy shit, we're actually, reversing QP hell. Mm-hmm. And they're like, some people are like, my god, they're going to have to give me something more to buy with all this QP. One, no, you're wrong, because the event will end someday. And thus, all your free QP will be gone. But also, my thought is that, no, after the event gets through all the story, it's going to unlock the final nodes or whatever, or challenge quests and things, and those are going to make you bet ludicrous amounts of QP on very hard quests, basically. So, it'll actually, be a risk to you. So we finally got the CM. It's ultra short, but boy howdy were they right to play it to the vest, because once again, it gave away literally everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because it features Swimsuit Okita with jetpack, Bunny Lancer Artoria, and possibly shocker of the season, Pengu Melt. That's Melt in a little penguin hoodie.
Actually, Melt was one that a lot of people were saying.
Yeah, a lot of people
happen.
were suspecting. They were like, "Is she gonna?" Because Passion Lip is one of the bonuses.
Yeah.
But yeah. So hey, guess what? It was. I'm pretty sure they deliberately set it up for maximum emotional roller coaster. You're like, Summer Okita is coming. Summer Okita is coming. Summer Okita is coming. Holy shit! It's Musashi. Summer Okita is not coming. Oh shit! Summer Okita is coming. And she has a jetpack.
Well, actually, here's the crazy thing. Like, we were actually a little bit concerned about this, about the whole, Atakuchi Wada Arco servant.
Yeah, would they be drawing servants? Because they clearly broke, that one of them has broken the 5-star trend, because there's not 2 5-stars on this banner.
No. But they still both ended up drawing a servant for the event, so I'm just all like, no, I guess we just we can't say it's SSR, but they're still drawing it because, as I said, like, I don't know about everyone out there, but me and a couple other people in our community were like smashing the F5 button on the website. It's like, give us the fucking CM.
Yeah. Well, no, and like we figured it out basically like a week or two ago, which was like, no, I think it was last week we were talking about it, where it's like, no, they're not revealing the CM because you know, when they did it for Summer 3, people were going, like, frame by frame through the animation.
Oh, yeah.
And thus had figured out all of the secret spoils way ahead of time. So this was like, no, it's short. They're not hiding anything. You have very lingering shots on who's going to be the second half of the banner. But they also didn't give it until the event was actually about to come out. So it was like, there's no extra speculation, just play the fucking event.
Yeah, no, I think the CM came out literally when JP rolled over.
Yeah.
And the event happened, I believe.
Yeah, something
there
like
was
that.
There was speculation of like when they were going to release it. We were like maybe a day before, maybe a couple days before. Like, no, it was day of.
Also, evidence from the event seems to indicate that this is actually Goddess Rangomniad, the Lion King, not just regular Lancer Artoria, and is probably a ruler. She is also the shopkeeper, which totally expected because, like we said, one of the casinos is Excalibur. Also, the event map is shaped like Camelot from the Camelot chapter.
I'm kind of curious to know what Goddess from Goddess. So it's actually going to be Goddess Rangomniad as a servant.
Mm-hmm. Which is important because that was the thing about the summonable Lancer Artoria was she was primarily Artoria. She just because using the lance, she just shared the same look as the Lion King, but they were not. They were 100% not the same character.
That's interesting. I wonder if there was the man for the actual goddess.
Probably, because that's the thing, right? Is you build a little bit of back and forth, and actually, Goddess from Gomniad actually like when you get to the end. On the one hand, she's like super dispassionate, but once you give Excalibur back, like she gets a little bit of her humanity back. So she's kind of got a little bit of back and forth with you, but then the singularity immediately collapses. So it's like you don't really get to spend time with that character. So it's super interesting. Also, art's still by Akira Ishida, which is another thing. Like, the quote-unquote leak was like, and it'll be 5-star foreigner Lancer Artoria, and you can switch between Alter and Normal with costumes, but it's drawn by a redrop, because for some reason, Ishida wouldn't draw, and I'm like, no, that's dumb. They've literally never done that, and
yeah, no.
I know that he's still working with Type Moon, because, like, last year he drew Lancer Alter's anniversary CE and stuff, so it's like, that's just too weird. Not that Redrop can't draw more servants, it's just I don't think they ever do that with... Like, with Alters, maybe, but almost always they keep, like, swimsuit variants of the servant with the same artist. So, let's see. Got that out of the way. Surprising no one, we got animation updates for Kotaro and Merlin.
There is now a faux kick.
Yeah, that's one of the skill animations, is faux kicking.
It is amazing. It's all
also,
I needed.
Garden of Avalon is way sparklier. I don't know if there's any particular variation for his actual costume or not. I haven't looked it up. So
has the costumes actually been released already, or are they?
I don't know. They're story locked, so maybe not. That might be it.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, this once again further explains why Kotaro is paired with Medea Lily, because she also got a animation update. So, because they were on the same day in the rank up quests. They clearly knew what they were going to do with Kotaro.
Again, I feel like, honestly, Medea Lily might have got animation updates because of Jason being released.
Well, yeah, like, that was clearly,
I don't know, just
like,
kind
same
of
with Lu Bu, that was clearly because they just released Chen Gong, so they're like, oh, we have an excuse, because Medea Lily even has sprites and attacks in the thing. Oh, and Axe is apparently saying that the first few chapters give you all the costumes.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So I guess they're already out, and I just haven't seen any videos on it. We got some new command codes: Magus of Flowers, Brush of the Mad Painter, and Ukio's Octopus. There's some new quality of life updates, which are pretty cool. So, first off, when in double speed mode during battles, the battle results screen is also double speed. Also, we forgot to talk about this last week, but one of the things they did for the anniversary was there was a new feature where you can immediately restart a battle without having to reset to the title screen or the main screen. So if you're doing your dailies, you can immediately go into your next run.
You really gotta go fast.
When selecting a support, you will be able to directly see the craft essence details by long pressing it.
Okay.
And in my room, when playing character voices, the game will select ones you haven't unlocked first.
Oh, that is a blessing.
Yeah, so if you're hunting for like a special dialogue line, the game will actually get in there. Hopefully, they can bring in some of this code stuff to us early.
From our experiences, they seem to be bringing stuff in about a year early. quality of life wise.
So hopefully they can get to it sometime. So the first banner is SSR Berserker Musashi, SR Rider Carmilla, and SR Archer Kamehime, which for some reason Google wants to stop making one word. And then we also have CE's Welcome Bunny, which is Bradamante, Purple Eye, which is Murasaki, and Summer Enmate, which is Kama and Benny Enma.
At first, when I saw the rare CE, I'm like, no way, that's an actual CE. No, it is.
And then, so the Merlin Siegfried Kotaro banner is really weird. It has its own CEs, Poolside Bar, Ladies and Gentlemen, and Yen 10 Tethera. They list it as running from 8/18 to 9/1, but it's actually just one day only, and it's only on Sunday. So there'll be 3 Sundays in JP where it runs for 24 hours, and then it's done. And it's really weird, and I'm not sure what they're doing. But clearly they've done like the cost-benefit analysis or whatever on that.
Well, it's a Merlin rate-up, and as I said, they probably have, like... Remember, FGO pools data a fuck ton of data, so they probably don't want people... They probably want to incentivize people to maybe spend more on their summer banners rather than hoarding everything to maybe get a couple more MPs of Merlin.
Yeah, they probably want it to be like, yo, you can actually spend your quartz and stuff, and like maybe you do something special on Merlin Day.
Yeah, like otherwise that's the only real reason is they want to not like have basically a Merlin raid up basically overshadowing the rest of the event.
Probably, because it's probably a big deal.
It is. Like, how often does Merlin get raid ups?
I mean, he's pretty good, but let's see. Let me actually check the
he's
rarity.
Still a linchpin. He's still the linchpin of the Buster meta.
Yeah, he is still Buster support. So let me actually look at his campaigns. Actually, no, that's right. He hasn't gotten too many. This is his 3rd ever, so I thought he was a little more frequent than that. No, so it's just Solomon, just the upcoming, for us, 10 million downloads, and then after that, he does not get a raid up until this event.
Oh, damn, yeah.
So yeah, no, it's...
Sorry, I had my tablet in my mouth.
That's fair. I think it's kind of like they're trying not to completely overshadow the summer banner because some people will only spend on Merlin all the time, but also they're still keeping him like a certain amount of rarity, so it's not just like, oh, and I will casually switch to Merlin after I get all my summer servants, kind of thing. Anyway, they've got the profit analysis in there, and that's all the news.
Lucky's news right now is I am trying to get as much as Carmella's butt into the panel as I possibly can.
Well, that's a good one, because that's, we talked before about Carmella's Final Ascension art, like, not that any of her arts are bad, like, I love all of her stages.
Like, oh my, like, honestly, like, as I said, like, Summer 3, like, already is killing me, like...
But no, like, Carmella's Final Ascension is really good, because it's a very... as with usual with Final Ascensions, it's like a whole different dynamic pose.
Mm-hmm.
Also, much like with her regular form, Carmella's 3rd sprite, no mask or anything, so you can see her beautiful face.
I will say though, the kind of robo look she went for in the second one, I was like, what?
Oh, it's because she's a Phantom Thief.
Yeah,
it's that's the thing. Carmilla is 100% anime references. But anyway, we'll talk about that later when we talk about her design and talk about her servant stuff. All right, well, let's move into... That's all the news. Let's see. We're at about 25 minutes, so let's move into free talk. I don't necessarily want to extra fluff the show out too long, because I know we've done a couple of long shows lately, and some people don't... Some people have commutes and or shifts longer, which are shorter than the episodes, which makes it harder for them to listen, so...
I was actually telling her, well, we don't want to fluff too long. I was actually considering maybe doing part 1s and part 2s, but that would require that us do a minimum 2-hour show each time, and I don't know if we can do that.
No, like, we could, because I've done that with audio anyway, for size reasons, like, do like an A side and a B side, but I think, no, it's just, we'll just try not to do super long shows, except on special occasions, and maybe not back-to-back as much.
Yeah.
Just because we understand we have different listeners with different listening needs. Like, some people are like, fuck it, give me a 2-hour show every week. I'm listening to you while I grind, But there are other people who, catch us on, like, their lunch break or whatever, or their commute, so... Mm-hmm. We want to be as close to all things to all people as we can, and at least make it not inconvenient for you. But anyway, let's move to free talk. Summer 2 thoughts. So, the story's all done.
Yep. So, like, again, I'm a person, I don't spoil myself with the story. So, basically, all the twists and turns that happen in events always catch me by surprise. So, like, I understood that Ishtar's up to something. I know she's up to something. I don't know what, though. And revealing her temple to be a giant ATM machine that she was using to fucking power her reconstruction of the Divine Pool, I was all like, what? Excuse me, Ishtar, what?
Which, by the way, I think means that was a stealth summer foreshadowing, because it's a QP ATM machine.
Yep. Well, actually, there's a lot of like summer. There's a lot of summer stealthing I'm realizing. For example, at one point MAX, I'm referring to Meb. It's all like, I got to defeat you now before you turn into a saber. I was all like, oh, that's. I was like, armed with clairvoyance. It's all like, that's a.
Which, to be fair, also our localization team is too, our translators.
Yeah.
So they probably can emphasize what was possibly more subtle references.
Yeah. Let's see, what else, though? Okay, and I know this might sound a little weird, but for me, our overall winner was Team Tyrannical Shooting Star, the team that both Omega and I backed, so, go us. But looking at how they acted and reacted at the end, I kind of feel like it was honestly like the most canonical choice for the win.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you're talking about a race of popularity, fucking Saber Altar and Nero, who wouldn't win?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. It's like it's such a weird combination of people, like Sodamatrian, who literally came together, like save someone from like falling, like save Boudica from like falling into a volcano. This is something I kind of want to nitpick, but I feel that some racers got a lot more spotlight in this event than others.
They did. And by the way, I should clarify for people who haven't realized, the final winner is actually 100% personal. It's based on who you cheered the most. So I think Team Helena won the last route, but that's still not like the cross the finish line.
Yeah.
Which is, again, based on who you cheered the most. Hey, guess what? I cheered my team the most. I know there were some people who were worried about getting results that were not the team they actually liked the best, to which I said, well, then you should have backed the fucking team you liked. Like, it's your own fault. Death is not a hunter unbeknownst to his prey. Or other classic memes. Don't call it a grave. This is the future you chose. Because it was.
Sick lines.
Like, if you were a sellout, that's another thing. Like, Axe is talking about, like, he wanted Team Nobu to win, but it was hard to do her nodes. There was definitely some node bias with some teams I've noticed. Like Raiko team seems to have a lot of easy quests to farm, and Tyrannical Shooting Star usually got really good quests.
Yeah.
So
now I get as much as Musashi bust into this panel.
There's a lot of it to go around.
Mm-hmm.
The weight of certain nodes. Well, actually, okay. Let me rephrase. I got lost there. I'll start over. So while the design of the event, right, and the overall concept of like we're gonna have a race, different people are gonna support them, we're gonna distribute rewards to everybody, based on who wins and stuff. So there's like an element of like rewards and stuff, but also it's for everybody, so it doesn't matter if you quote unquote lose, right? Like that's a really good concept, but the way the mechanics play out and with the story writing is that obviously you can't pre-write too much about who wins, right?
Yeah.
Like you could do your own little version of the victory scene, which is personal. Which is very funny for Tyrannical Shooting Star because they realize that they've been bamboozled. Because they're both basically like, yes, now I have won. Now Master will reward me. And then the other is like, fool, Master wants to reward me. They said they wanted me to win. And they're like, you can imagine the hair pulling going on as they start. And then they're like, wait a minute. Clearly, this was a ruse. It must be Ishtar's fault.
Why I want to say it was more canonical because it was the one where they actually had the most like increased meddling from Ishtar. who is like, consported to put like
right. She deliberately put that team together.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, whoops, this is a bad idea. I should not do this anymore. Like, can you imagine Ishtar disguised as the master, like, trying to bamboozle Fran or Helena, or God forbid Raiko? That would have been dangerous.
Apparently, Ishtar went full shoujo male protagonist with the cup it down and flower petals
and the wink and the sparkles. Like you can just imagine Ishtar as you winks and a heart shoots out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's obvious she was a little overblown. So she's like, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's a
so
very memorable impression. Like, I think about like all the other wrestlers, and they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna race because this sounds cool. Like, I think the three most interesting, was Tyrannical Shooting Star, Satisfaction, HTE, and who would I say number 3 is? Oh, Electric String featuring Papa.
Right, because those have a lot of the most dynamic. Because
yeah,
I think the problem is that so Tyrannical Shooting Star has 2 new servants, new summers in their slots.
Mm-hmm.
Electrical Steam and HTE are 3-man teams, which means they have triangular dynamics, right?
Yeah.
Like you have certain different back and forths and stuff. All the other teams are only 50% summers. Like, it's Raiko and Sanzo, who doesn't do much other than just be like, this woman is clearly touched by the Buddha, I will do whatever she says. And then Desert Beauty is like, Desert Beauty got some really good gags in the first part when they were doing the high danger racing, and the second part it didn't really, their shtick didn't really work.
Yeah. They really didn't have many lines in the second part at all.
No, and like I said, I think that's because their shtick was good in the first half of the race. Like, that was a funny thing. But when you're in the prison thing, it's not. No, Sanzo can't drop the idiot stick. Have you not actually studied Journey to the West? That's Sanzo's thing. He or she is a complete naive, airhead, for lack of a better term. That's not how this works. Heroic spirits. She summoned in her prime.
And what do you mean? And I'm pretty sure she was still in the airhead after the journey.
Yeah, I don't think actually going on the journey matured Sanzo in any way. It was mostly just Sun Wukong fixes everything. And then the other team was, well, once again, gags were very strong for MHX. That was it. That was the only thing. They were only the gag team. That was all they had, right? So you're right. I think that like breaking up everybody into teams and stuff, it's a cool idea and it works, but it definitely hurts some of the writing at some points. Like, honestly, part 2 was also possibly because we had less of a thing where like we beat each of the components and moved on. I think part 2 also had a lot more where the supporting antagonist cast was part of the gag, which meant that there was even less room for our core characters to have dialogue. Like, because in addition to, we need, 6? So there's 12 characters already, not counting Mash and Ishtar off, back at base, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then they threw in, like, oh, so now we're going to have Carmilla gags, and we're going to have Maeve time, Maeve TV, and we're going to have, Ketz and Maeve jokes, and we're going to have Nightingale and Gorgon jokes. Like, it just,
I wish the doggo was used more.
Yeah, Lobocop only really got his, like, one joke at the beginning, which was super hilarious and iconic. It kind of, didn't really go from there.
I would not mind a Lobocop cost. Will not lie.
No, that'd be fun. But yeah, so basically it's just like, while, it's way better than Summer 1 Part 2, right?
Well,
because the supporting
the
supporting cast of Summer 1 Part 2 is just the Boars, and they get really old really fast, right?
Yeah, Summer 2 Part 2 maintained a story, and they kind of maintained the same story. Like, one of the different weaknesses of Summer Part 1 is like, okay, we're trying to be the same story, but we're kind of gonna lose our focus, and we're just gonna make you build shit, and we'll tie it up at the end.
We don't want to write new mechanics for this part, but we also don't actually have new story or jokes for this part either, basically,
Yeah.
until the end. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But
Also, I would have to
definitely
say
I think. Well, go ahead, Lucky. Go ahead, because I was gonna bring this back to Summer 2.
Well, I'm coming back to Summer 2. I think one of the main things that helped about Summer 2 is Summer 2 had a proper finale and conclusion. Like, in Summer Part 1, yeah, you had the big boar reveal, but it literally came out of, like, left field, and you're just like, what? But, like, all throughout, Summer 2, you definitely, see Ishtar being a little shifty, being a little weird. So
Right,
something is up.
It has build up to its conclusion, besides... Because I would say that... I would argue that, well, obviously there's a twist in there. The quote-unquote real story conclusion of Summer 1 is that you need to get off the island.
Yeah.
But...
it's a survival story.
It's...
But in Summer 2...
That's a
like,
really
oh my
weak conclusion, I think, is getting off the island. Because
Mhm.
it's just... Well, you get off the island or you don't, right? Like, there's just... Did we stockpile enough shit and did Skak make enough runes? It's not dynamic, unlike the race, which is literally dynamic. You can literally see the racers crossing the screen in different parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is I think a lot better. But my kind of wraparound point was, though, the problem is that the part 2 of this one definitely has a better supporting cast in that it's got better new antagonists and supporting characters like Enkidu, Gorgon, etc. But that unfortunately means that since we already had a super packed character roster as it is, it really got bogged down, and some of our who should arguably be our core characters, because this is basically just a giant ad for the Summer Servants, they got kind of left by the wayside. It's a little sad. We'll have to see how Summer 3 turns out, because I think that has there are gag characters, like there are little bits for humor, but I think overall it's much tighter about its cast. And like the first 3 servants are really a big deal out of your supporting cast, right? Like you're really, I think it's really focused on the story is you team up or you hang out with like Summer Jean, Summer Ushi, Summer Ibaraki and kind of stuff, and like Summer Jean gets Summer Jolter gets her rivalry with Summer Jean right away, kind of thing. So you stay in relatively small groups, right? Like your Dojin circle starts small, and you only add I think you only add like 1 or 2 more people consistently. And you've also got the whole time loop thing too. Like,
it's something unique. It's a setting that's interesting. I don't know anything about Summoner 3 except from like it's a Hawaii Comic Cat, and it's a fucking time loop. Like, that's all I really know, like, besides the servants in it. So I'm just like, I can't really say.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I don't know, there were better summaries about Summer 3 that I read, but that was a while ago, too. It was last year, so details are a bit sketchy without reinforcement. But we'll be sure to talk about it next year, and hopefully the making it all one part will make it be better.
Yeah. Again, shout out to the localization team. Like, really, like, I don't know, like, how much trouble they had to go through to, like, localize, like, puns and whatnot, but honestly, I don't think I ever saw anything really forced in these translations so far. Not this event, anyway.
No, they've gotten a lot better, and they've actually added a couple more people, but they've gotten a lot better about catching problems in the script ahead of time and, like, moving on.
Yeah.
And the only thing we know about Summer Part 4 is casinos and swordsmanship fights. So I hope you like the dual mechanics that we're going to see in Shremosa, because they're coming back.
Of course, Musashi's at the center of it. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not a big fan of Musashi. Like, I know audible gas from like several thousand people, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Summer Musashi. Ooh, let's see, where are we?
Got some interesting things, so we'll talk about them when I talk about them. So, I suppose if we, I don't think we have any other really story stuff to talk about with Summer 2, because the story's all done. We kind of hit all the points. We hit all our prison movie cliches. So sorry, we're sleepy boys.
I have finished my first, but guess what? I have a backup.
All right. So the question is, should I do new servant details, or should I do the other thing that we left off from last week?
Let's go with new servant details.
All right, well, let's talk about the Summer Four Servants. I've left Hokusai off this because she's only temporary for now. We'll cover her at the end when she's permanent. Not that most people can't already view her skills, but I figure I'd just make it a little bit easier on my writing for this week. Oops, put my pop filter. So, hey everybody, America is here. It's Summer Musashi. And she's got a pretty unique style. Each ascension is a completely different sprite. Like the art is slightly different stances, and her sprites have like all different stances and looks too. So she's for a 5-star appropriately. She's a very ambitious design. So you've got her first step is her her actual summer style, which is like a sport one piece. She's got her little weird bun bonnet, and she's got a couple of colored kendo swords. Her second ascension is America, which is red, white, and blue. Got like a weird half a cowboy boot, and has swords that are also guns.
Gun sword.
And then her third is what she describes as a Japanese-style swimsuit, which is like kind of Asian-inspired, got a lot of straps, got some tall stockings, and she's got a ultra-giant katana. Well, really, it's a katana that's broken, but then has a giant other blade glued to it, which people have been comparing to some of 2B's swords from Nier.
I am really, really sad they didn't use an oar.
Yeah, no, this character especially would be a good time for the oar joke, but if I remember rightly, I think the idea is that that's an anecdote that's only true for male Musashi. Like the female Musashi's from an alternate timeline, so she's actually from an alternate universe. She's not meant to be. But in real life, Miyamoto Musashi was a girl. So I don't. Like I said, this is the thing. I already warned everybody about this. Whatever Musashi's lore is as a summer servant, it's going to be like double stupid. Her materials profile is already like 3 pages longer than everybody else's. So
also, she lost like 20 fucking pounds somehow.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk. Actually, we might as well talk about that now. So we had a fun conversation recently in our Discord about servant weights, because it was pointed out that in her profile, Summer Musashi is about 10 kilos lighter than her normal form. And so, in case you didn't know, servant measurements, especially for females, are utter bullshit. They're based off what the reported weight of like idols and gravure models are, which are lies. I had to break it to you kids, they're lies. They're lies, or those women are literally dying because they don't eat enough. Either is possible, so don't be happy about those numbers. But funnily enough, regular Musashi actually has an arguably a reasonable measurement. She's about 5'5", and her weight is actually somewhere in the appropriate, normal, healthy amount for that height. Summer Musashi is, as we said, 10 kilos lighter, same height, but if anything, her figure is even more full, so it's weird. I'm pretty sure, without a translation of her profile, I'm pretty sure the idea is that she's literally starving. Like, that's the joke, is she has no food. That's why she's crazy in America, because she's out of money and out of food.
Remember, Saber Musashi is a glutton and loves free food.
So, I think that's what they're going for, but 10 kilos is ludicrous. That's like 20 pounds. Yeah. So it's another really funny comment. Another one, because we're going to talk about Carmilla in a second, is look at the difference between Liz's height and weight and Carmilla's. It's about 6 inches, but only 5 kilos. So basically, ladies, if you have, lower back problems, just move to Japan, because apparently in Japan, boobs are weightless.
I mean, they jiggle around like water balloons, apparently.
And somebody did mention earlier that yes, in her final ascension, which is our thumbnail and band image, that Musashi she switched back to her America bikini, but she has tan lines like she was wearing her third ascension one, which is interesting. And also, I like tan lines.
Like I said, I'm fucking slaying.
No, it's really good. Though sadly, I don't think her tan levels come across in her sprites, but they are in the art. I don't know. Tanness is another really weird thing in Japan, as evidence from the fact that you can whitewash summer beauty. That's not going to be really weird when you get to America. Oh no. Well, we'll see what people think about that one, because I don't think they can unfuck that one. So,
A solid reminder, Wada Arco fucking loves tan lines.
oh yeah, no, Wada Arco's a lunatic. I'm pretty sure. I bet, like, I don't know. They probably had to Photoshop the different in skin tone for Summer BB for her costume, because I'm sure Wada Arco was like, "Are you crazy? She needs to be more tan, more lines." But anyway, that's enough about Musashi's design. So, she joins Team Zerk with a quick arts buster deck. That's right. Musashi Saber has a gorilla deck. Musashi Berserker has a saber deck. And she has an arts AoE NP. Oh, and her attack and HP are the same as Kintoki. Which, in case you didn't know, Kintoki was the record holder for attack in the early game. I think he's still only like number 4. Like, he's not that far down the list. So now he and Musashi can share that slot. So, yeah. Once again, if you listen to certain meta lovers, brain dead autopilots, people will try and tell you that Summer Musashi is bad. I will tell you that anybody with that much attack is not that bad. So her NP reduces all enemies' critical chance by 30% for 3 turns. This is flat. It's AoE arts, like we said, and then she has an overcharge-based NP seal on sabers. Because Musashi, get it?
I like to maintain that I think Yagyu-Jubei is the greatest swordsman of all time, but I'll just stay in my corner.
No, this is because her noble... There was an obscure reference to that Musashi has a secret noble phantasm that allows her to embarrass and outwit other swordsmen as a last resort, but it's really dishonorable. Which I'm pretty sure is the name of her technique now.
Well,
so this is her secret, I can beat other swordsmen. Which, by the way, if you've ever read the Book of Five Rings, no. Musashi was historically a pragmatist.
Yeah, that was actually one of the bases for the famous fight with Kojiro, was, showing up late, being disrespectful.
Bringing an orb.
Yeah.
And then winning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Musashi's secret power, but that's just a gimmick. Like, on the one hand, 100% NP seal versus sabers. On the other hand, she's a berserker with an AoE NP. What the fuck? So, the primary get, though, here is that it's got 4 hits, and her 2 arts cards have 4 hits, and she has average NP gen. It's somewhere in the 0.5% rating. So people have immediately begun mathing her 3-turn clear powers, which are high, because remember, she's a berserker. So, Musashi is a berserker who loops. Which you'll know from people who are big into 3-turn clear strategies is a big deal. So, no matter what people say, Musashi's really good, guys. She has big HP, and she can back-to-back NP, or big attack. So her first skill is Excel Turn, for her jet ski, I guess. Look, we've got a lot of people with Excel Turn all of a sudden. But that's the 4-turn cooldown and 1 hit of evade and 50% crit up. The second skill is the arts version of her 5th form, so it doubles hits on her arts cards only. And it gives up to 30% power increase on them, and it increases her NP gain for 3 turns up to 50%.
Nuts.
Yeah, and she already had an actual okay NP gain number. And then her final skill is the cause for contention, so it's 3 turns of Pierce Invincible. 3 turns. 3 turns of up to 30% attack up for herself. Guts for 3 turns. It's only 1 time and 1 HP, but it's still there. And all enemies lose 30% defense. But it costs her 5k HP, which is about half of her HP. So, big cost, but big power. It will set her up really well for several turns. And theoretically, depending on what your cards are and what other servants have there, you could work on that. Like, Merlin could come in there and heal her. Because arguably, with her NP type, she's arguably like a stall NP spam type.
Well, yeah, no, I was just about to think. You throw her in there with Tamamo. I mean, fucking Fox's Wedding, that's like...
it's a huge heal.
Yeah. That's a huge heal. Not to mention it's the art spoof, and if you're spamming Tama's NP, you'll probably eat that to merit in a few turns. You just gotta keep her alive that long.
Heal, and it helps her NP charge loops and stuff. Another good one is, if you want to talk about keeping her alive, everybody forgets her, but there is a rerun recently. Irie is great for that, because Irie gives Team Guts frequently, and with a big heal. So that's another. That's an arts-based servant who would combo very well with keeping Summer Musashi alive.
Everyone remember, no servant goes into battle alone. They always have support.
Yeah. So her passives, she has Madness and Hates of EX. I think it's about swords, guys. I'm not sure, but I think it's about swords. She has her magic resistance is down to C. She has Writing D and Divinity D. I can't wait to hear what bullshit reason for that.
What god is she associated with?
I heard that it's because she ate Buddhist offerings, but I'm not sure.
I can see it.
So yeah, people don't like her demerit, but on the other hand, she has a lot of loop potential for quick farming setups, which are universal. Like, everybody wants a quick farming setup. Like, even if you're not going full 3-turn beams, everybody's had that thought where they're like, God, I wish I could farm this faster. Well, Musashi's great for that. And also, she's Musashi, so people will roll for and use her.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of regular Musashi, but this Musashi, I'm like...
Which Ascension are you gonna use?
I don't know. I kind of... Well, it has to either be the second or the third one. I'm not too big a fan of the first. But...
The first one's kind of like... That's what they're normal thing. It's like the first Ascension of Summer Sean. It's like, oh, look, it's a perfectly normal swimsuit, and then you go further and you're like, what the fuck is happening here? She also has different variants on her NP depending on her Ascension level, and has forward-facing sprites with variants. Sometimes she smiles. So there's a lot of art here. A lot of... I will say that a lot of people, like some people are like, Delightworks, you're crazy. How could you give her a 5k demerit? I'm sure they were thinking of something, which is basically like... My thought is it's basically like, okay, after your 3 turns of all your buffs and your loops are up, Musashi dies, basically. It's like, unless you've done something to support her, she's fucking dead if she doesn't kill the enemy first, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, you can't die if your enemies are already dead.
But also, just look at the different sprites and different ascensions and stuff. No, a lot of work went into her, okay? Like, this was not an autopilot thing. A lot of effort was here.
They're starting to putting a lot more effort into making Servant be a bit more sprite-wise, I want to say.
Well, yeah,
like,
this is another thing we talked about, talking about, like, heights and weights was, so Da Vinci Small is supposed to be 5'8", because she's still a child. Regular Da Vinci is 5'2". So 4'8" versus 5'2". Let's not talk about Da Vinci's weight, because that's also crazy. She's like 90 pounds. But the sprites obviously don't match up, so Da Vinci probably needs a sprite update to reflect that she should actually be a little bit taller than her young self. Even, because Da Vinci has heels. Like, even if you go, oh, well, Writer Da Vinci has, ice skates or rollerblades. Da Vinci is also wearing heels, so like there should still be a difference. But let's move on and let's ask, where are we dropping, boys? Hopefully we're dropping our wallets on Summer Osakabe Hime, because she came to America and now she wants a machine gun. I've made a lot of jokes about this. One of which was, the movie The Iron Giant. You are not a gun. Summer Osakabe Hime. I can become gun. Because she really likes our Vigi games. So despite being an archer, she's quick arts buster. Where have I heard that before? She does have a very low trending attack, but her HP is tied with Atalante for highest in her rarity bracket. So big HP, a little bit of small attack. Average hit counts and NP gen. But obviously 3 arts cards, so arts chains are easy. Her first skill is Marksmanship FPS, which, by the way, is literally listed in Japanese as the English letters FPS. Just to let you know what marksmanship she's good at. This gives her 50% crit up for 3 hits, and 1 hit of evade for a turn. So not a full turn of evade, but 1 hit of evade, and big crits. Her second skill is weird. It's kind of a charisma. Like, it gives you the 10 to 20% team attack up, and gives your whole team sure hit for, I think it's 3 turns. But it also slaps one of the enemies with 3 turns of taunt, which means you have to attack that enemy. So, depending on who you're facing, this is either crippling or does nothing. For challenge-type quests against multiple servant bosses, where you need to, spread out your skills and attacks and stuff, it's bad. But if you're fighting, mobs or focused on AoE attacks, it's nothing. Because I'm pretty sure if the enemy is taunted, you literally can't highlight other characters, which means you can't use skills on them either.
I don't know how that works, but
yeah, enemies who taunt are very rare. There was a little bit of that in Summer 2, but I'm pretty sure when I think Ketz does it or something, it was it put a little warning over the other 2 enemy HP bars, which was cannot target. So I think it'll fuck with your dynamics a little bit. So you have to be careful about when you pop it. And then her final skill, she has the 3-turn blue-red steroid for 30%. All 3 of these skills are on 5-turn cooldowns. Her NP is an AoE Buster. I wonder if I heard that one before. Which gives the whole team Buster and Critical Plus for 3 turns. Which is backed up. She's backed up with Independent Action A, Magic Resistance B, Divinity C-, and Stronghold Construction B, which is Arts Plus, and also gives her like a 200 damage cut. So the end result is what the original version of Emiya should have been. She loves to spam NP because she's got an Arts steroid and she has Arts cards and good hit counts. She can give your whole team buffs, and you might think, oh, her attack is really low. When you do all her buffs, it's not really. Her NP gives herself like 30% crit strength and 20% buster up as well. So if you can get her to start spamming her NP, even though it's a buster, and remember, buster multi-hits will actually generate a few critical stars too, and archers are, I think, number 2 in star weight under riders, so don't bring any riders along with her. But you can get a lot of big crits out of this. So yeah, she's a team supporter who can also do big damage if she wants. It's very interesting. Also, her NP is adorable. It's a freaking war movie with her little paper animals. I wonder if it's a Conqueror's Bad Fur Day reference.
It sounds like she ain't bad, but I think it seems like she needs a little bit of momentum to get going.
Yeah, maybe. It probably depends on when you prop her skills. She still has, 3 arts cards.
Yeah.
That said, if you wanted to give her, a 50% battery and just jump right to the NP, for instance, if you sumoed or maybe an arts boost on her or something, I'm sure that'll work. But like we said earlier, no servant is in a vacuum, so...
Yeah. As I said, she's definitely not someone you want to build your damage output around. But no,
but she can hit stronger than you think she can with her low attack, and she will also support your team.
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, your dummy mommy is here for the evening. It's Carmilla, Mistress C. And she is a hard dom. She's in control, and she's ready for some denial play.
Yes, please.
She has no defense, she no protect, by which I mean her HP is super low. Her HP is lower than Red Hair, who is a silver. But as befitting, for a long time, Carmilla was the strongest SR assassin in attack terms. I think Summer Ushi is only 50 points higher than her, so she attack. She is a few attack points below Rider Kentoki, okay? So, big attack. Quick, arts buster. Pretty good NP gain and hit counts. Obviously, her NP gain isn't as good as her regular form, but that's because she has one-hit arts cards. Or a one-hit arts card, period, as an assassin, so her NP gain is ludicrous. As a rider, her NP gain is much more balanced. And she's a rider now, because Phantom Maiden is now a Ferrari. I'm not kidding. It's Testarossa Maiden. This is an AoE quick, which gives all enemies buff block for one time, and an overcharge-based quick resistance down. This is the beginning of Carmilla's denial. Buffs? No, you don't get those. Her first skill seals the target enemy's skills and lowers their critical defense, so increases the amount of damage they take from criticals by 50%, and gives you big stars. Oh, what's that? You want to use your skills? No. And also, referencing the Phantom, Carmilla's officially a Phantom Thief now, because her second skill is sending the calling card. Literally, she's sending the calling card. The next day, you fight the boss. No. It's actually a one-turn delay debuff. After the turn is up, it reduces the target enemy's charge by 1. It gives your whole team NP 25%, which is a pretty big number. And it reduces the target enemy's critical rate. What's that? You want to use your NP? No, you can't do that either. And then her final skill is unique so far. It depletes enemies' HP directly. All enemies lose up to 2k HP. And Carmilla heals the amount stolen, like a real fucking vampire. And it also reduces their defense by 30%. Oh, what's that? You like having health? No. I have your health now. And to top it off, she has Independent Action A and Presence Concealment B, which is a huge benefit over her Assassin form, who only has Presence Concealment D. So yes, Summer Carmilla is a very good rider. She denies enemies their benefits and their abilities, and weakens them while providing your team stars and NP, which she will immediately use herself to bully the enemy further.
Yeah. Honestly, Carmilla is... I don't think we really don't have much in the way of actual, denial or debuff servants. I mean, usually a servant will usually have like an option here, an option there, but you don't really have one that is like, no,
I don't
this
think
is their whole...
there's one servant whose whole gimmick is your enemy just, like, other than stuns, I don't think there's a servant whose whole gimmick is just your enemy is just locked out.
Yeah.
But she brings skill seal, NP charge down, and buff block in one servant. With also, like I said, her third skill is really unique. Enemies have this ability. I don't think anybody else has the ability to just, as a playable character, to just knock off up to 2k HP. Have you ever had an enemy who you're like, you've only got like 500 HP left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carmilla just kills that guy. He's just dead. Like, he loses up to 2000 HP and dies. Without using an attack action. It's amazing. The only downside is that Carmilla only heals the amount that is stolen, so you gotta be careful when you use that if you're trying to use it to heal her, but because she is fragile and she has no defensive ability other than stopping the enemy from using an NP, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she has no defense at all. But once again, hey, luckily servants aren't in a vacuum. You want to give her defense? Pair her with Boudica. Listen, Phantom Thieves don't act alone, okay? There's a whole squad.
Okay, I kind of want a Boudica Phantom Thief now.
Yeah. So Carmilla has a very interesting aesthetic as a writer. Also, yes, her animations are fucking hilarious. She breakdances at one point. You notice how she has two dogs? She attacks them with the dog wheel. Her extra attack is just running them over with the car. One of her things is she does like a fucking nudist beach pose, like she attacks the enemy and slides back and leans in. And her NP animation is she drives her car through the screen. Just it's phenomenal. Also, yes, she has two dogs. In her second ascension, they become robot dogs.
I found that a little weird, but okay. I love her regardless.
By the way, they are in Mechaliz's colors, the two dogs. One's gray.
I did not
one's
realize
pink.
that. Now this is most... That's...
So yeah, so she's got her cover story look, her gambler look with her big hat and her red dress and her gun, which she does also use. She shoots people with her tiny gun. Her second ascension is her Phantom Thief with her Carmilla horns back. And her fucking wraparound mirror shades. And her third ascension is just her in her actual swimsuit, which is great because she takes her sunglasses off for once. Carmilla's face is great, so
I fucking love Carmilla.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Osakabe Hime's design because I don't think there's a lot to get into. Like her first is her with her jacket.
She really loves survival games.
Yeah, her first look is her with the jacket because she's, like I said, she's been playing battle royale games and probably doing some airsoft because airsoft is big in Japan. Her second is just she takes the jacket off, so she's got like a cute scarf and a bikini. The third is interesting. It's like Musashi, a much more traditional Japanese style with like flowing sleeves and like a headband, and it's cute. And her final ascension art is great because she's like splashing and playing, and doing her wah face. Also, it's weird. She's only wearing glasses in her final ascension art. She's wearing her glasses and still has her goggles on top of her head. So she's super cute, but her aesthetics aren't like crazy good. I need to see what her animations are like. I'm sure they're fun.
Like, Omega, I know you're a fan of Osaka Hime, but like honestly, it's like for me personally, she is the Link in this group. But
yeah, and that's fair. I really like her for lots of reasons, and I'm sure we'll, you may change your opinion when we actually meet her later this year in Halloween.
Yeah.
But I like her, her Hiki and Heat kind of nature is kind of funny to me, and like it's interesting to see servants like her, which is just like no, I don't want to go. No, don't even go outside. And then she's like, "Fuck yeah, guns."
Yeah, like Carmilla, like is a big hit because I have this like long seated deep appreciation for Carmilla because I got Carmilla like real early in my FGO playtime, and back in the early days there were no fucking like major assassins out there, so Carmilla did a lot of work in
Yeah, I
my
know.
early FGO days.
Carmilla's a big deal early.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't use her as much now because I have, like, Jack and Shutin and, like, Shiki and stuff. But, like, she's always going to have that place, like, right there. So getting potentially another Carmilla to spend time with, I'm like, yes, good. I am pleased. Like, honestly, like, think about, like, Summer 4. Like, our predictions, like, were not entirely off. Because we'd said there would probably be, because I wanted a Summer Carmilla.
Mm-hmm.
We were hopeful for a Summer Melt. I predicted it was either going to be Lancer Artoria or MHX Alter. We got Lancer Artoria or Goddess from Hitting Ed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were saying Okita, and we're like, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, we were like, I mean, that seems fair. So yeah, we ended up being pretty spot on. I as always was like, there's going to be lots of FGO originals, kids, and hey, there's like, if you count the welfare, there's like 5 out of 7.
I will say Saber Hokusai was like, what?
Yeah, that one I was just like, I don't think anybody really predicted her for the welfare. I mean, she fits the mold because she is a popular character who is very limited. She was only on like New Year's campaigns and stuff. So now they're putting a free version of her, which is interesting. Also, it's going to be interesting because Hokusai has a kind of a weird thing where in her third ascension, because the thing about Hokusai's character is that when you summon the artist Hokusai, you summon both the historical Katsushika Hokusai, who is the octopus, but also one of his daughters, Oi, who wrote under the name Hokusai. So they're both Hokusai because they were both artists working together. There's actually, we talked about this before, there's actually like a little anime movie about them.
Yeah, it's just called Hokusai.
So when you try to summon the heroic spirit Hokusai, you get both. And then there's this weird thing where like Hokusai Prime like docks up with Oi as like a brain slug guy, and kind of they fusion dance into one body, which is her weird, creepy octopusy form, which players have historically been a little weirded out by. So it makes sense for them to like kind of re-release a new version of her, which is well, obviously Octodad is still in the picture, looking even more badass. Hokusai will stay relatively the same, right? And you don't need to worry about her personality shifting or anything. By the way, here's the thing I want to point out to you. Do you know why Asakawa Hime is a bat? Or has a bat theme?
If I remember correctly, it's because she was originally a fox, but she didn't want to overlap with Tamamo, right?
Well, yeah, but do you know why she's specifically a bat?
Actually, no.
The Japanese word for bat is komori.
Yeah.
Just like hikikomori.
Oh.
It's not the same root, but they're pronounced the same.
Yeah, I see that. I would not have made that connection.
Yeah, it's funny. I read that the other day. All right, so that's New Summers. Let's see, what's our mission clock? We're at about an hour 15. I will casually mention the thing.
Yeah, go.
I brought up before.
We got
a little bit of time. We can go a little bit longer. So this is a fun thing. I said fun game to play with the community. Who would be interesting in a Grail War? Not like who would be really good, blah, 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 who would you pick? But like, this is a thing I think we often forget about. Like, some people do it, and honestly, some people do it a little too much, where they're like, oh, but who could do this or beat Y, or how would they be in this story, right? But a lot of people in FGO are just here for FGO, so they don't necessarily think about a lot of the lore behind the characters and how they're framed, like how original characters in like Fate Stay Night or Fate Extra are framed. Like, arguably even Extra being a game also primarily is weird, right? Like, it has to reframe everybody in purposes of RPG mechanics. Extella is the same, too. It has to frame everybody vis-a-vis being a Dynasty Warriors character, basically. That's why the Phantasm Circuit exists, so that the game has an excuse for you to actually have a super attack that blows up everybody, even though most servants, you don't necessarily have one of those.
Reminder, Phantasm Circuit has the ability to change even an anti-unit Noble Phantasm into an anti-army Noble Phantasm.
So if your attack doesn't already hit lots of dudes, it will make it hit lots of dudes. This is probably really the best for Tamamo, because she's got a support NP. The normal thing her mirror does is just give her, like, unlimited mana. But, so, I was having this discussion, it was a couple weeks ago now, because I put this note in last week's show. We just had such a full show, I didn't want to add on to it. I think I was talking with community member Aleph in some of our channels about some stuff, and just noting some people and thinking about interesting characters to show up in a traditional Grail War, because that's not something people, like I said, always think about. Like, one thing I brought up was that, like, you think of assassins as pretty weak, right? But say if you summon Shuten in a Grail War, she would be really scary. Probably not the final boss, but she would be a good, like, Herc-level mid-boss character, right? Because if you actually look at her stats, for an assassin, she's super strong. Her skills are all through the roof. She has, like, battle continuation A+, which is as good as, like, Ku and Herc. You know, she can survive having her head cut off.
Yeah, you gotta remember, Shuten lore-wise is known as one of the 3 great disasters.
Yeah, she's one of the 3 great yokai of Japan, so she's a big deal. Like, demonic Oni powers or demonic power of Oni kind is like, oh, this combines like 5 different other skills like monstrous strength and charisma, etc. It's like, okay, that's scary. And her alcoholic fruit thing is like a scary good debuff power because it's like the ability to basically confer the state of being drunk onto people, and it's like if they don't have any kind of magical resistance, so most humans and animals, she can make them instantly drunk with a word, a breath, or a glance. So it's like, oh yeah, no. She'd be a scary boss lady. Her poison's really brutal, because it's like, can be adjusted to add any sort of status effect, or she can just dunk it out and melt flesh with it. Or her second noble phantasm we don't see, which is her bone collector, which is just, I can punch your bones out. Has a high chance of being an instant kill. So yeah, it's like, Shuten would be really scary in a Grail War scenario.
I'm sorry, you mentioned like get drunk on her voice. I'm just thinking Al Yuki thoughts right now. I'm like, yes.
No, accurate. I mean, I'm sure that when they wrote the actual description, they already had the voice lines. But yeah, so that was like an interesting thought. And like, if you think about a lot of Holy Grail War stories, that is true, right? Like, there's usually that one mid-boss character who's like, oh shit, Herc showed up in this route. He's gonna be a big fucking deal to about halfway through. And then, oh, it turns out Herc wasn't our actual problem. He's just the character that stops us from winning right away until Gil shows up or something.
I think, actually, like, more thinking about Shuten, I keep remembering, and Rashomon, they actually say that Shuten is actually in a smaller, weaker version of herself, like, due to that, and we never moved quite past that. It's
it's definitely phrased that, like, as a servant, she chooses to appear as more, like, smaller and less threatening, but I think the phrase used is like her true form as an Oni wouldn't be so cute, which makes sense because in the actual like Japanese legends, Shuten Doji is described as being like 50 feet tall or something, with like 5 horns.
Yeah, remember this was Shuten Doji was something that Raiko, badass motherfucker of the Japanese times, had to go get like a bunch of like divine treasures from the gods so she could maybe do this.
Yeah, so it was first they had to brew the multicolored sake, which was powerful enough to knock out an Oni who drink a lot. Which, keep in mind, that's now her noble phantasm, right? The poison sake. She just drunk that and got sleepy, not exploded or melted, which is what happens to most people. And then Raiko snuck up on her and cut her head off, or cut his head off, depending on the version of the legend. At which point, the head got up and tried to bite Raiko's head off. But because Raiko was given a 7-layered helmet from the gods, Minamoto no Raiko survived. But Shuten Doji, decapitated, bit through 6 out of 7 layers.
It's scary. It's scary, yo.
Yeah, that's why Shuten has battle continuation A+. Like, has enough fight left over after being decapitated to nearly still win. So, yeah. And I've made some other interesting notes, like, Tsukaba Hime is actually kind of interesting from a lore perspective because she's the ultimate. She's an assassin, but similar to Semiramis, she's much more phrased like a caster. Like, she's probably an assassin because as an actual like yokai or ghost, it was considered ultra bad luck to see her and like you would die. So, quote unquote, assassinating people. But like her powers are all based on being in her castle, so if she leaves her territory, she's like super weak. Thinking of like high level characters, like I actually did some thinking about Penth. Like Penth is another really interesting berserker because, like, just think of how badass Herc is, right? And he's crazy. Other than if you trigger her, other than if you bring up Achilles or her beauty, Penth is functional. Okay, she operates like a relatively normal person.
Relatively.
With skills like charisma, etc. So yeah, that would be kind of scary. Like Sane Berserkers are actually really intimidating. Like I haven't really looked at his lore again too much lately, but Beowulf would be really stupid broken because he retains his sanity and he has 2 magic sword noble phantasms, but his true power is when he ditches his swords and just punch you to death. So yeah, it's there's a lot of interesting characters. So like in the comments, play this game with us. Think about characters that would actually be really interesting in like a fictional setting. And actually on last week What's Up, I talked about how I was making a really quick Fate hack with some rules that I came up with. And I basically finished all the rules on that and I made a couple example characters. And fit-wise, I think it works really good. Some of this is obvious because I know what I'm doing, like building the characters, but I think that it, for my purposes anyway, like the characters fit really well. Like Herc is a monster, right? His stats are really high, so he's really powerful. He has lots of invulnerabilities, but also, like, if the way that he's at least statted is, like, he also presents a lot of opportunities. Like, if you were playing as Herc, you're just making the situation, you're heightening the dramatic tension all the time, right? Just by existing, basically. Or if enemies could exploit a lot of your high-level stuff, they could get you back really well.
Well,
so
I'm
it's
thinking about
interesting.
that. Like, you talk about, like, servants with, like, instruments and mechanics. Like, we're talking about Berserker, Nightingale immediately comes to mind. If Nightingale was actually summoned in a, Holy Grail War, I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, she'd be a very interesting puzzle, because she's not really good at attack.
No, but...
Like, she has her gun, and she has her anatomy knowledge, so, like, her punches and kicks are really deadly. But her Noble Phantasm's power is defensive and healing. But it's really strong, because it's like, you cannot activate true names of Noble Phantasms or use weapons in this zone. Fuck you. Like,
and just think about taking, like, Nightingale's personality. She wouldn't be actually, like, someone going down to fight other servants. Although if they were injured him, she would heal them to death. Probably.
But she would be very defensive of her master, right, as a nurse.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, you've made my master bleed his blood. I will kill you, and then also I will fix them. Well, that's another thing, right? Like, some characters are super supportive. Like, that's the thing that I think would be important about Osaka Hime was, like, other than luring people into your lair, you would have to, like, have her help by building tools for you with her paper arts. Da Vinci is Da Vinci's a very scary servant. I did an example of her for the hack because I was like, oh, Da Vinci's kind of cool. She'll be pretty interesting to like stat out and see what happens. And I'm like, oh no, this is not good as a playable character. She's not a good protagonist character. She's really strong. Like, she has multiple EX level skills. Her natural genius means she can copy almost any skill that's not like native to the body. She has Pioneer of the Stars, which makes the impossible possible. Shit like that. Super high territory and item creation. And her noble phantasm is really bullshit because it's basically omnipotence, right? So it's either she can create a magical blast which is perfectly strong enough to defeat the enemy through any defenses they may have, right? So it's like it perfectly calculates the amount of power it needs, or she can perfectly counteract the enemy's noble phantasm. As a playable servant, she can't do that because she's supposed to be supporting Chaldea's resources, but yeah. Like, that to me screams that in, like, a Grail War, Da Vinci is actually a really good character in the role she's in FGO as a support character, right? Like, she doesn't necessarily go out into the field, but when she does, she's really helpful, but mostly she gives you knowledges and tools to, like, help you advance. But if you just were like, well, I've summoned Caster Da Vinci, and I'm just gonna go nuts, you could probably do some serious damage in a Grail War. So, there's lots of interesting things. Like, some characters are definitely actually written as support. Like, I dug into Mary's lore a little. Her lore's really weird. Like, her skill set is strange. Like, she literally attacks with her voice. That's supposed to be what she's weaponizing, is she can use her kind of siren song and natural authority as a queen to literally harm enemies of the monarchy by singing at them. Her voice is a weapon. She can also summon her giant crystal horse and crush the enemy, but that's like not how she normally fights. And they lore-wise described her mechanical effect. When she summons Guillotine Breaker, it like shoots out magical sparkles, magical lights, which restore her allies' health and mana, which is like okay, that makes sense for like why she does what her mechanics are, because her NP has a group heal. But that's also really weird to think about in a greater context of like summoning her as a servant.
Hey, who else would she be healing, really?
I guess the master, or you could team up. Her
Maybe
crystal
whoever
palace
she
is also really weird, because it's like, I'm going to summon a giant crystal palace, and anybody who's standing in it is like, including myself, is like protected and filled with magical energy. It's like, that's also neat, but like Mary would be a really interesting character because she would not be able to necessarily clinch fights on her own, right? Like, you'd have to come up with clever ways for her to use her abilities and support people. So it's like, there's a lot of characters like that who are genuinely supports, and then there are some characters who like Ku, like Artoria, like Herc in story are just monsters. Like,
well, I've noticed a lot of like the Fate franchises, they usually put a lot of stock into having like directly combative characters in their Holy Grail War.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because it makes for more interesting like action scenes.
Yeah, but yeah, when you start thinking like outside that box, yeah, it gets a little weird.
Yeah, so like this, like I said, this is a good thought experiment to like think about the franchise as a whole, because there's a lot of really interesting things they got going on here. Like the classic example, could Matahari beat Gil? Because Matahari's NP super bullshit. Like, she does a dance and you get hypnotized until the sun comes up. But what does she do when she's got you hypnotized? She has like no close combat skills.
Well, I guess another example of this would be Charlotte, whose skill is literally, the more you try to think of her as an enemy, the less you think of her as an enemy.
Right, but her only attack is just to get right up next to you and stab you, too. So it's like, yeah. it's really interesting where, like, Charlotte Corday is more powerful as a servant in fiction if your enemies are more bullshit and fantastical. Like, Gil would be fucked, because he would try to use high-level clairvoyance on her, and also he's really arrogant, so he would be like, this is nobody. But yeah, no, like, she could not beat Herc, because it doesn't matter that Herc has the not ability to register as a threat. Herc is just immortal. Godhand is really BS, guys. We forget about it sometimes, because it only happened in, like, Orleans, but Godhand is real bullshit. All attacks that are not A rank stop. Yeah, so it's really interesting. It's also really interesting that Herc is framed in story as a tank like that, right? Like, normally in Fate Stay Night, he can't use 9 lives. So it's that was mostly for, like, fighting games and to give, like, Sheer an excuse to be cooler. But, like, because he's a berserker, he's not normally doing that attack. So he's just cruising on being freakishly strong and being unkillable. But yeah, so that was just, like I said, my thought experiment for the audience. If you have any servants you think have interesting lore and descriptions, let us know.
Who I want to summon in a Holy Grail War? All of the Tomino 9. All at once. I think that'd be amazing.
That'd be a little scary.
It'd be a little scary, but entertaining.
But yeah, so that was that thing that I thought of. Let's go ahead and round this out into our back half segment. So, Teacher Omega Sensei poll still ongoing. But it's going to end today, and I'm pretty sure Mystic Eyes is going to win. So, we'll talk about that. Probably. I don't know if that'll be next week or 2 weeks, but we'll see.
We'll see.
But I'm pretty sure Mystic Eyes is going to win. Because, like I said, I'm recording this now. The poll has like 1 day left, so there's a very narrow window of if there's some people left who can vote who haven't voted, who realize it's about to end and catch it. But all right, so that's basically that. Let's see. Is there anything else really interesting? No.
Talk case files?
Yeah, let's run it with case files. So somebody actually brought this up, and we'll try to keep this in mind more for What's Up. Is just that we do have a bad habit on What's Up of going, should we talk about case files on What's Up or not? So we probably shouldn't just ruin the flow, but yeah, we're going to talk about case files today because it happened. Honestly, this episode wasn't super impactful. It was just kind of fun because Luvia, Reddas, and Gray hung out for a long while. There was Gray dress up.
Yeah.
There was an action scene where Luvia wrestles a lot. A lot of wrestle.
Yeah, apparently she can just shoot gems for her fingers like machine guns.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna presume that's her Gander, because that's kind of the joke, is that ability-wise, Rin and Luvia are basically mirror images. Like, Luvia has her pro wrestling, Rin has her Chinese martial arts, and then they're just exactly the same.
Yeah, the only difference is Luvia has lots of money, so she.
Yeah, Luvia has super money, and Rin has no fucking money because her family's impoverished from running the Holy Grail War.
But again, like we're finally like the thing about Case Files I can say with Sharon is finally we're actually getting into the actual Rail Zeppelin arc.
Right, we're in the A plot now.
Yeah. They like literally like this, which is fine. I find really interesting is these first 6 episodes were all literally set up.
Right, because I think Rail Zeppelin is like volumes 5 or 6 out of a 10-volume series, so there was some establishing we had to do.
Yeah, they definitely mentioned some previous arcs, like specifically the Separation Castle. Like, I don't know exactly when it went on there, but that's where they meant like Adashino and Luvia, if I remember correctly.
Somebody please translate those light novels.
Apparently, there's translations of the manga, but I haven't been able to find the light novel Wire Witchcraft. I did spoil myself a little bit because in searching for stuff, I came across the TV tropes page, and everyone, you know how TV tropes are.
Right.
I was like, that is a whirlpool and a black hole of...
Yeah, and you'll get sucked into references, and you'll see the little white spoiler boxes, and you're like, oh, it's not too big of a... Oh, shit, it was a big spoiler.
Yeah, so I kind of spoiled myself my Case Files, but I'm still really keen on reading them.
Yeah, no, they're super interesting, because that's the thing, right? Because Case Files really is a mystery series.
Yeah.
Which is something I super like. Like, that's something I've realized, like, how much I'm sold on Case Files is, like, that's why I enjoy chapters like London and Shinjuku so much, because I just love the mystery element.
Like, I do not know the I do not know the full ending, but I know something about the ending. I know I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think it's fair enough to say that the end of the series takes place around the beginning of the Fuyuki Holy Grail War, and that causes some interesting things to happen. But that's
so
about.
We're getting into our actual plot. That's the end of the episode. Is Waver's like, well, somebody stole my relic.
I'm gonna go get it back.
Which is it's kind of a big deal for me. And we've seen the preview for next episode. Little Olga Malley. Yeah, that's right. Which I was always trying to remember, is this the story arc she's in? But if it is, it makes sense because FGO is super huge right now. So naturally, you would want to write the story arc that Olga appears in, because
Olga Marie Servanware, bring her back. Bring her back.
Though I gotta wonder about timing. Let's see. She can't be too old because, while she is the director, she's not obviously like a full blown adult in 2016. Because it's important to remember that for sake of the overall Fate timeline, we should consider that FGO starts in 2016 when it started in JP. Because they moved the date up 2 years for us in English, so it makes sense. But
didn't Mousberry win the 2004 Holy Grail War?
Yes. In the FGO timeline, he wins the Fuyuki War in 04, number 5.
Yeah, so that's 04, like 10 years. Olga Marie, she was like what, 16, 17?
Yeah.
So
it's possible that maybe she's like, because obviously Marsbury is not participating in the war, it's possible that maybe she was born a little bit earlier because he wasn't like prepping.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see how they address it. It's gonna be weird if she's like, Axe is saying that she's like 12, which is good because I would say it's gonna be weird if she's like 16 in Case Files in 2004 when
I don't
3.
Know.
So
again, timelines are weird. They're not actually connected, but we try to connect them anyway.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's super interesting. So anyway, I'm super excited for Case Files this week. We'll talk about it next week on Let's Take FGO, because like I said, I'm not really sure how we're going to handle recording What's Up this week. It might either be super late or you might skip it. Lucky could do something solo if he wanted to. I don't know how you feel about that. Because I probably can't really record, but I could sit in chat and do snarky commentary.
Yeah, I'll throw out some feelers in our Discord and see how people feel.
Yeah, so we'll work on it, but at the moment I'm not sure where the scheduling is. Anyway, we're here. We're at about an hour 30. Some of that'll edit out. So I think we're done. Got any other final thoughts? Actually, while Lucky thinks if he has final thoughts, let me double check the event schedule to see, because whatever is next in English will begin by the time we're starting our next show. So I gotta double check the schedule. I don't think it'll be Nero Fest right away.
Possibly a rerun?
No, I don't think there's enough time for a rerun, but I think there's a class banner and maybe some like half AP story or something in there.
Meh.
So let me see. I'm looking at the wrong schedule. I gotta look at Japan. So we're 2019 right now, which means that we are in 2017 in Japan. This is what I mean by like timeline displacement.
Time and space.
So let's see. We're in August.
Alright, Lucky's got to think of ways to make more money so he can roll more gacha. No,
yeah,
I have
so
not given up yet.
what happened in the end of August in Japan was there was a commemoration for the Prisma movie, which we're not going to get. We might still get the El-Melloi banner, but it won't be called, what it was before, so we'll have to see. I kind of hope we do, because you can get a shitload of gold XPs out of it.
Ta-da!
So, that's also where El-Melloi and Chloe get their interludes. So, we might have to figure out some way to do that. Like, obviously they won't call it the movie premiere campaign, but they might just call it, El-Melloi summoning campaign. And then after that, I was right. We have half AP story and class-based campaign 3.
Is that half AP story for...
It's for part 1 and part 1.5.
Sweet.
So main quest will be half AP, and half AP on free quests also is a big deal.
Ooh.
So that'll be interesting.
Nice. Maybe I can clear out those nudes.
Alright, so, yeah. Yeah, I'll catch up on my quartz in my last couple of EORs. Alright, I think that's the show, so I'll go ahead and do the YouTube wrap-up. Woo! And just say that, hey, if you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like if you like the video. Leave your comments below if you have any comments. I know we asked for lots of stuff. What your thoughts on Summer 4 are, whether or not you like Summer Musashi, other stuff we asked about. Also, you can consider joining our Discord. That link is in the description. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We're on the road to 2K subs, so it would be real cool if you could help us with that. And even if you're already subbed, considering that bell for notifications, because you never know when we're going to post a new episode. I'm going to bamboozle the shit out of you guys with an early Let's Talk FGO, so consider that incentive to hit that bell. Which some other YouTubers say ring that bell, but I think that's really weird, because it's not a real bell. It's a fake bell. Anyway.
Fake ring that fake bell.
Correct. And of course, like I said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, in audio format, for as little as $1 a month. That's why I say, if you're watching on YouTube, you could be listening to us either on Patreon, the website, or, download it onto something. Your phone, an MP3 player if you own one of those, your fucking watch. So that's just $1 a month. We do, depending on how many weeks there actually are, we do 4 Let's Talk FGOs and 4 What's Ups a month. So that's as little as a quarter an episode. It's a real cost benefit, and there's other stuff you can get in there. Help us out, do stuff early. So yeah, that's about everything. We'll see you next week with more Let's Talk FGO, and like I said, we'll do something for What's Up this week.
Fun fact,
all right.
Shuten and Aoyuki have the same height.
Oh yeah, there's an actual discussion literally going on Let's Talk FGO. Raita explicitly used Aoyuki as a model for Shuten. I don't know how that chicken and egg worked out, but it's correct. Seriously,
Nice.
Look at a picture of young Aoyuki and look at Shuten. It's a little freaky. Though I think Aoyuki has actually said, on the one hand, while it would be very easy to cosplay Shuten, on the other hand, it's not a good idea.
Aoyuki, I love you, but... Alright, cut that recording.